top 5 holidays to Scotland, presented by myself, Sam. I'm the general manager here at Railbookers, and I'll be talking to you about our most popular trips in Scotland today and trying to inspire you, hopefully, for your next holiday. Looks like we do have a few attendees still logging in, so I'm just going to give it 60 seconds just to let everybody settle in. I'll be straight back with you and we'll get cracking. I'll be with you in just a few moments. Thanks very much. Okay, looks like we have everybody with us now. So thanks again for joining me for our Scotland webinar, our top 5 holidays in Scotland with Railbookers. As I said, my name's Sam. I'll be your host today. But just before we begin as well, just wanted to say Scotland is actually our fastest growing destination. So you're definitely on trend if you're sitting on this webinar today. No surprises, I suppose, as people perhaps look for that holiday a bit closer to home, given the current environment that we're in. Currently, Scotland's actually in our top 3 most popular destinations, full stop, to travel to next year, along with Italy and Switzerland. So it's becoming much, much more popular, especially as a destination to travel to by train, which I think is really exciting. So let's start just by having a look at some limited time offers that we have on at the moment. Really wanted to mention this because Scotland features right now as one of our offers that we have. So for all our Scottish holidays that you see today, we're offering £150 off per person, £300 per couple. We've also got that offer on any of our Swiss holidays and our Italian holidays as well. We know that they're trending. We know they're places that people are excited to travel to. So we just want to offer a little bit of money back to help people out in some of these challenging times. If you want any more information on that, then of course, just give us a call or have a look on our website. But some offers to be had at the moment on all the holidays that we're going to talk about today. Some of you, if you've been on our webinars, will have seen this before, so I do apologise if we're covering old ground. For those that haven't, I'll just spend a few moments about talking about who we are, why our customers come to Railbookers. So firstly, we are able to book holidays from 2 days out to 2 years out. We like to say that our holidays go anytime, any day, to anywhere. As long as a train goes there, so do we. Obviously, there aren't too many people looking to book over the next couple of days, but we've got a lot of people, a lot of customers looking further in advance, planning that holiday for summer of next year or even into 2022. And all our itineraries are customizable, which means that everything that you see today that we're going to have a look at, you can. I've had someone, sorry, I do apologise, just mention a question here saying that they can't hear me. I'm not sure if that's just Helen there. Sorry, you just stopped me in my tracks there, Helen. Just wondered if everyone else can hear me okay. If you can, if you could just pop something into the question box to let me know that you can hear me, be most appreciated. But thank you, Mandy. Yeah, you can hear me. Great stuff. Sorry, I worried myself for a moment there. I do hope, Helen, that you can hear me now as well. So sorry, I was just saying all our itineraries are customizable. Really, what that means is everything that you see today can be tailored to your specifications. So if you don't see something that exactly suits your needs or what you're after, just let us know. As long as the train goes there, like I say, we'll try and fit it around your needs. That could be additional nights, that could be different destinations, could be different classes of travel, whatever you would like, we will try and offer that to you. A lot of people come to us for special occasions because of the partnerships we have with our rail providers and different hoteliers that we work with. We can try and make it as special as possible, any special requests that you might have. We'll try and ask our partners to cater for. We work with hotels from 3-star all the way through to 5-star luxury as well. So a lot of people come to us for those birthday or anniversary occasions. All our holidays are independent travel, so you aren't with groups. You do have the freedom and flexibility to travel as you please. We do like to include some day tours with groups into our holidays to make sure that you get the most out of your trip. But really, while you're in the cities themselves, your time is your own. And of course, very important right now to mention that we are ABTA and ATOL protected, so your money is safe. Something else for your peace of mind is we are currently offering a maximum flexibility offer, which means that for any new reservations between now and the end of the year, or for any existing reservations, if you have booked with us prior and have a holiday coming up this year or next year, we are allowing all of our customers to change or postpone their trip up until 5 days prior to departure without incurring any change fees at all. So if you would like to book now to take advantage of a special offer, or get that best price, or just have that fixed for next year, but you're worried that perhaps at the time of travel you may not be able to go, that's okay, because we have a maximum flexibility offer that will allow you to postpone your trip to a future date, or to change it to a different destination. You aren't fixed to the holiday that you book. We can change it to any one of our brands, any of our destinations, and any time over the next 2 years. So we're trying to be as flexible as possible right now for you all, just to give you that additional peace of mind. We do have 24-hour support from our global offices as well. So we do have 5 offices globally, 1 in London, 2 in the US, 1 in Canada, and 1 in Australia. We have dedicated guest relations and customer service teams in each. So really, wherever you're traveling, whatever time of day it is, you should be able to get through to one of our staff should you need to call upon us while you're traveling. I mentioned those direct rail partnerships as well. These are just a few of the companies that we work with. Deutsche Bahn in Germany, of course, Renfe in Spain, Via Rail in Canada, Amtrak in the US. And as I mentioned, these allow us to make those requests for you. If you want to be sat on a certain side of the train, facing in a certain direction, you've even seen a specific seat that you like. We can't guarantee it, but we can use our connections within our rail partnerships to try and get as much as we can for you based on your specifications and requirements. A big question on everybody's lips right now as well is how safe is the environment you'll be traveling in. So of course, rail operators have made many provisions over the last few months to try and make it as safe as possible. It really goes without saying, of course, that they require facial coverings in stations and on trains for all passengers and staff. Right at the start of the pandemic, they stopped the sale of food and drink on board most trains. That was really to limit people getting out of their seats and going to the bar car or the dining car or the restaurant car. They have opened up the sale of food and drink a bit more now, and it's served to your seat if it's available. So they are starting to open that up, but then obviously making it as safe and hygienic as possible. They've changed a lot of the seating configuration on the trains as well, and reduced the number of seats, reduced the allocation on board to allow for that social distancing. Increased cleaning and sanitation, so there's a deep cleanse at the end of every single journey, and there'll be cleaning going on throughout the journey as well. And we're all getting used to contactless ticket control. I mean, most things are moving contactless now, and rail travel and ticketing is going to be the same. And just a stat for you, the RSSB, the Rail Safety and Standards Board, recently announced that when masks are worn on a train, there is around a 1 in 20,000 risk on board a train. So, nothing is completely safe, of course, but rail travel is seen as a relatively safe way of travel should people adhere to the guidance of the rail operators. Okay, so let's crack on with why we're here, and we'll start by looking at our Grand Inverness and the Highlands via the Caledonian Sleeper holiday. This is a 5-night, 6-day trip. Starts in London on board the famous Caledonian Sleeper that will take you all the way through to Inverness. I'll talk a little bit more about the Caledonian Sleeper in a moment. I'll touch upon the specifics of the holiday first, though. So this is a really great introductory trip, I think, to the Scottish Highlands. Very reasonable starting price there. I'm sure you'd agree with $499 per person. Now, it does fluctuate depending on the time of year that you're looking to travel, but this is a really reasonably priced trip. So you've got that 1 night on board, and then 4 nights in Inverness. It's going to give you 2 free days to explore Inverness itself, and then you're going to have 2 day trips as well that we throw in. You'll have plenty to do in Inverness. If you haven't been to Inverness before, it really is a city that's made for exploring the surrounding area as well. Kind of boasts an abundance of culture and history. It's got a really beautiful old town, a 19th century cathedral to visit. Other places of interest, there's a lovely Victorian market. There's the Inverness Museum and Art Gallery. If the weather's good, there's a lovely botanic gardens to visit as well, and the famous Greig Street Bridge. So you've got a couple of days to really explore Inverness, and you don't have to worry about, rushing around or cramming things in. You've got plenty of time to explore. We also include a hop-on, hop-off tour of Inverness as well as part of this holiday. A nice option for you should you wish to use it to help you get around the city and get your bearings. But really, for me, the highlight of this particular holiday are the 2 day trips that we offer. And whenever we talk to our customers after they've returned, we do like to get in touch with you to see how it was when they return from our holidays up to Scotland. It's always these day trips that really stand out. And the Isle of Skye day trip specifically, it features so many memorable moments. It's a fully guided tour with an expert guide. You start by travelling through that dramatic Highland landscape before visiting Ailey and Donan Castle. It's known as the most photographed castle in the whole of Scotland. Then you'll cross over into the Isle of Skye itself. There'll be a fantastic photo opportunity at the Red Cullen Mountains. You'll get to visit the coastal town of Portree, which you can see in the bottom left there. You'll enjoy some lunch. Lunch is included, and stroll around the peninsula in Portree. You'll also get to visit Kilt Rock as well, and Castle Moyle, and also see the famous Skye Bridge as well before making your way back to Inverness. So it's a full day tour, lunch included, fully guided as well. Real fantastic way to explore the Highlands and the Isle of Skye. On the second day, your day tour will be out to Glen Urquhart Castle and Loch Ness. For anyone that's a lover of history, this will be a great trip out for you. There's around 1,000 years of history in Glen Urquhart Castle, and it enjoys stunning views over Loch Ness. It's perched, as you can see, top right there, right on Loch Ness itself. You can climb to the top of the Grant Tower, which watches over the loch. And there's a cafe to have lunch in as well, which is positioned perfectly. So while you're having your lunch, you can just marvel at the surroundings while you grab a bite to eat. There's also tours around the castle, of course. They've got a remarkable collection of artifacts, and guides will talk you through. And there's short films about the history of the area as well. It's a slightly shorter tour than the Isle of Skye trip, but no less memorable. And as I say, those 2 day trips are fantastic as part of this particular holiday, and all included in the cost. So I mentioned the Caledonian Sleeper at the start, the famous sleeper train that runs from London through to Scotland. And we include the classic room, which is the entry-level room as part of our holidays. You see on the right there, you've got the bunks. And in the classic room, there is an in-room wash basin and towels as well, a complimentary sleep pack, including Scottish toiletries and access to the lounge car, but that is subject to space. Priority to the lounge car is given to those that book the club room compartments. Now, this is the most popular compartment to book, the club room. It's about a £50 per person upgrade, something I would highly recommend. If you do upgrade to the club room, it's still the bunks, but you do get priority access to the lounge car where you can go and sit and relax and watch the scenery go by. You also have an ensuite toilet and shower in the club room as well. As I said, in the classic room, it's just a wash basin and towels. Toilets are shared, but with club room, you get the shower and a private toilet as well. You also get breakfast delivered to your room. Breakfast is included in the club room price. It isn't in classic room. Sometimes, depending on the situation, you can have the breakfast in the lounge car. At the moment, it's being delivered to the rooms for obvious reasons. But that's really my recommendation, would be to upgrade to the club room. As I say, just £50 more per person gives you that little bit extra. It also gives you access to the lounges at the stations at Euston and Inverness as well, where there's a full bar service and snacks. So it really is worth it, in my opinion. We often get questions about luggage on board this train, especially if people are taking, longer trips into Scotland. So no problem at all for luggage space. Small and medium-sized bags can be stored in your compartment. Any much larger suitcases that may not fit can be placed securely in the guard's van. So absolutely no issue at all with taking luggage on board. Finally, I did want to mention the Caledonian Double. Now, the Caledonian Sleeper is quite unique in that it's one of the very few sleeper trains in Europe that offers the option of a double bed. Quite often you're in the single beds or you're in the bunks, and even if you upgrade, you won't find a double. But they do have a few compartments that have Caledonian doubles. There are only a few. They do sell out very quickly. So if it is something that interests you, then it's pays to make haste if you're looking to book one of these. It's about an additional £50 again to upgrade from the club room to the Caledonian Double. That's per person. And you get all the same amenities, same access, of course. There's nothing more additional apart from that double bed. But it's very, very popular. As I say, a lot of people like to pay that little bit extra for the comfort of a double bed. Okay. So let's move on to our next holiday, which is Edinburgh and Glasgow via the West Highland line. So once again, this holiday begins in London and starts with that Caledonian Sleeper train, but instead of taking you up to Inverness and the Highlands, we take you to Fort William over near the west coast. So we have 2 nights in Fort William, and we include that fantastic journey on the Jacobite on the West Highland line. Now, I will say the Jacobite is seasonal. It does only run between April and October. This holiday runs all year round, however, so if you aren't able to pick a date within April to October, you will just travel on the standard ScotRail service, but it's exactly the same line, so you'll see all the same incredible scenery. It just won't be on the Jacobite steam train. But if it is the Jacobite you're interested in, April to October are the months you would have to book. For me, that's the real highlight of this particular holiday. We then also include 2 nights in Glasgow as well. You get a day to explore Glasgow, and then we include a sightseeing tour of Stirling Castle and Loch Lomond. And you'll have 2 nights in Edinburgh as well, including a walking tour of Edinburgh and access to Edinburgh Castle. So just to talk about Fort William for a bit. So you'll arrive in the morning into Fort William, and many people say that journey on the Caledonian Sleeper into Fort William is the most scenic of all the routes that the Caledonian Sleeper takes, as you wind up the coast that morning and arrive into Fort William. And when you arrive into the Fort William and Glencoe area, you're free to explore for the first day at your leisure. It really does sit among some of the most spectacular scenery in the world. Whether you're a keen hiker or somebody that just likes to take a few short strolls, you can wander around the glens or spend all day, in the countryside, marveling at the surroundings. Hopefully, you'll spot some deer and other local wildlife as well along the way. There should also be time, hopefully, to take a walk along what's known as the Old Glen Way, which follows the banks of the river down to the old Inverloch Castle. It's about a 45-minute walk, and you spend about an hour or 2 at the castle and back again. So if you want, I would advise maybe a short stroll around the glens in the morning and then a walk down to the castle in the afternoon, and then, put your feet up in one of the traditional pubs in the evening, grab a seat by a roaring fire and have a glass of whiskey maybe for the true Highland experience. But that first day in Fort William hopefully will be a really nice, pleasurable day. The second day is going to be on the Jacobite or on that West Highland line. I'll talk a bit more in detail in just a moment about that. Just want to touch upon Stirling Castle as well. So when you're in Glasgow, we do include a full day tour out to Stirling Castle and Loch Lomond. You also get to visit a whiskey distillery tour along the way. Again, this is a fully guided tour by an expert guide. Lunch will be included as well. We do try to make sure when you're on our holidays to Scotland that you get to experience the surrounding areas and the local history as much as possible. So the Jacobite steam train and the West Highland line itself, describe by some as the greatest railway journey in the world. It's an 84-mile round trip. Takes you past a list of some amazing sights and real extremes. I mean, it starts near the highest mountain, of course, in Britain, Ben Nevis. Visits the most westerly mainland railway station in Arisaig. It passes the deepest freshwater loch in Britain as well. It passes the deepest seawater loch in Europe, Loch Nevis. It's famous, of course, for being known as the Hogwarts Express train in the Harry Potter series as well. But really, it's about the sightseeing. It's about the scenery. You're going to pass Glenfinnan. You're going to travel over the Glenfinnan Viaduct. If any of you have been to Switzerland and travelled on the Bernina Express, you'll have gone over the Landwasser Viaduct. This is the Scottish equivalent of that. It's their great kind of feat of engineering when it comes to their railway lines. You'll pass some beautiful villages as well, and you can call the guard over and ask if you can stop at some of them to get out and get some great photo opportunities. On a clear day as well, you can see right across to the small isles of Muck, Canna and Rum, and if you're lucky, even to the southern tip of Skye. The train that obviously continues all the way up the coast along the past they called the Silvery Beaches that they would have used in Highlander and a couple of other films, all the way through to Mallaig. You have a couple of hours to spend in Mallaig itself, and then it's back on the train for the return journey to Fort William. So I always say you want to spend one journey taking your photos and the second journey on the way back just relaxing and watching the world go by. But this really is an absolute highlight of this particular holiday. And any of our Scottish trips that include the Jacobite steam train, this is often what people find most memorable, I must admit. Okay, so just going to take a look at a slightly shorter holiday now. This is more of a holiday for those that are looking for some city breaks, multi-centre breaks. Actually popular, very popular with a lot of our US customers as well. I think we've got a few of them on the webinar this afternoon. This starts with one night in London and then includes Edinburgh and York as well. So you take the Caledonian Sleeper again up to Edinburgh, spend 2 nights in Edinburgh and 2 nights in York. This starts from $499 per person, which again for 6 days, 5 nights, I think is a very reasonable price. And in York, we do include York Pass, over 25 attractions. You can get the 24-hour hop-on, hop-off pass as well to get yourself around. Entrance to the York Minster, entrance to the Jorvik Viking Centre as well. Also includes a 45-minute river cruise in York. And in Edinburgh, we also include a hop-on, hop-off pass for you as well. So I say this is more of a city tour. It doesn't get you out as much into the surrounding areas, but it gives you enough time in those kind of 2 magical cities of Edinburgh and York to really get your bearings, understand the history, and see some of those major attractions, whilst also getting that overnight trip on the Caledonian Sleeper as well. Okay, the 4th trip we're going to look at today has become one of our most popular holidays, full stop, but definitely our most popular Scottish holiday over recent months. It's our grand tour of Scotland. We're starting to see people that are looking for, who tend to take 10 to 14-day holidays going further afield, staying a bit closer to home and taking advantage of a trip up to Scotland, which encompasses much of everything that we've spoken about so far. So again, it starts in London. A running theme here, the Caledonian Sleeper, of course, up to Inverness, and this includes club class. So the price of this one includes that upgrade to club class with the breakfast, with the shower, with access to the lounge, both on the train and at the stations as well. That comes included in the price. This is a bit more of an upmarket trip, got a bit more involved in it, so we give you that club class as part of the cost. Then it's your 2 nights in Inverness, which includes that fantastic day trip out to the Isle of Skye. It's the Isle of Donan Castle, Portree, as well as mentioned earlier. Then it's down to Glasgow, 2 nights in Glasgow, and we include that historic trip to Loch Lomond and Stirling Castle and the whiskey distillery. Also, then it's off to Fort William. You've got your 2 nights in Fort William, and you've got your West Highland line trip up to Mallaig between April and October, again, including the Jacobite. And then it's down to Edinburgh for 2 nights to explore Edinburgh Castle, and we include the entrance to Edinburgh Castle in your 2 nights there. So this really is the perfect way to experience Scotland, I think, in all its glory, visit its most iconic landscapes and attractions. It's a 10-day trip, 9 nights. I think it's the perfect way to explore Scotland personally, by train. Sit back, relax, watch the world go by. You don't miss a thing. You really don't. It's a fantastic, fantastic holiday, this one, I think. And it's not surprising to me that a lot of our customers have started to pick up on this one, and have booked it for next year and even into 2022. So hopefully it inspires you as well. Got a couple of pictures here for you. So top left, there's the red Cullen Mountains that will feature on that Isle of Skye trip. You've got Loch Lomond there. Top right, Inverness Castle. Bottom left, and then Dean Village in Edinburgh. We've not discussed Edinburgh in too much detail on this webinar. Spend a bit more time talking to you about the train journeys and the scenery, but of course a lot of these holidays include Edinburgh, which is a must-see destination if you're traveling to Scotland. Okay, we're going to finish with the most luxurious trip of all, which is the Belmond Royal Scotsman Western Scenic Wonders. This is a 13-day, 12-night holiday that includes 2 nights in Inverness, 3 nights in Edinburgh, and then a trip out on the Belmond Royal Scotsman. Belmond, of course, famous for operating the Venice Simplon Orient Express, just to name one of their luxury trains around the world. They also operate the train in Scotland, the Royal Scotsman. This really is a once-in-a-lifetime trip, bucket list experience, special occasion. Starting price there of £6,399 per person, but it's really an unforgettable journey that hopefully you'd never ever forget. And as I say, it starts again with the Caledonian Sleeper up to Inverness. You have a day tour from Inverness. Then it's down to Edinburgh for 3 nights, 2 full days in Edinburgh, and then after that 3rd night, that's when you're going to board the Royal Scotsman and visit some of the most iconic sites in Scotland. On this trip, you will see Loch Lomond, you will see Ben Nevis, you will see Mount Stuart, you'll visit the Isle of Bute. You'll have 24-hour steward service and entertainment on board throughout, all meals included, appetizers, drinks as well, and an array of amazing excursions to enjoy off the train. So we'll have a look at some of them in a moment, in just a moment in a bit more detail. A few pictures here of the scenery and what to expect. Of course, it's very traditional indeed. Bagpipe players, welcome drinks, lots of whiskey on board as well. Life on board, I'd say, is relaxed but indulgent. World-class cuisine, rich with Scottish specialities, and as I mentioned, thrilling excursions each day as well. So I'll run you through what to expect on the Royal Scotsman itself. So on your first day, you'll board the luxurious train and you'll travel west through Falkirk to Craigendorn, the starting point for the West Highland line. You'll have an afternoon tea on board as you approach Loch Lomond. The train will climb through Glenfalloch and you'll arrive at the Spain Bridge, and you'll have an informal dinner on board the train and some local entertainment in the observation car as well. You can see top left, and you can see the lounge car bottom right there. It's very opulent, very relaxing, and those big windows for you to view the scenery as it goes by. And there's a picture of the afternoon tea as well, top right. On your second day, you'll continue through Fort William. You'll be able to see Ben Nevis from the window as well. You'll disembark at Arisaig, stroll along the Moor Sands to the Cullen Mountains. Again, fantastic photo opportunity there. Back on the train to Fort William, you'll be back off the train to visit the Glenfinnan Monument with a Highlander, and then you have afternoon tea again, but this time at the Inverlochy Castle. Then you have the option, if you like, to see the Steel Waterfall in Glen Nevis, or you can just relax on board the train. Then on the second night, there's another informal dinner and some more entertainment on board. The third day, the real highlight is the Isle of Bute, where you'll visit Mount Stuart. And there's a formal dinner as well en route back to Edinburgh via Kilmarnock before your final night on board the train. You can see some of the cuisine here. Really is fine dining, really 5-star kind of Michelin standard food, all freshly prepared on board all seasonal, all local produce. And as I mentioned, you'll have a porter and a steward to answer any questions. They'll be able to talk to you about the heritage of the train, the traditions, the cuisine of the local area, the landscape, anything, the history, anything you want to know. They're perfectly qualified to talk to you about the history, as I say, and the landscape and anything you'd like to know, really. It's as much about the service on this particular train as you can imagine, as it is anything else. We'll take a quick look at the cabin accommodation as well. So it doesn't have the double beds, unlike the Caledonian Sleeper, but it doesn't have bunks either. So it's lower berth beds. It does have an ensuite shower, wash basin and toilet in your cabin. Of course, dressing table. You've also got a full-length wardrobe as well for the 3 days that you're on board. Windows, of course, that do open as well to let some fresh air in, and there's an opportunity for some great photos as well. You get your high-quality toiletries, your fresh towels. That'll all be changed each day, and as you go for dinner each evening, your beds will be made up by your porter. And within your cabin, you do have a cabin service call button as well. So you can, if you need to, you can call your porter in and ask any questions. They'll also give you a tour of the train when you arrive as well, if you like, and they'll walk you around and they'll talk you through the train and the history of the Royal Scotsman, should you wish. Okay, so hopefully one of those 5 holidays has taken your fancy and given you a bit of inspiration. If it hasn't, then not a problem at all. We've got plenty of other webinars coming up, or you can always jump onto our website to have a look if there's anything else that would interest you. Or if you didn't see exactly what you wanted on today's webinar, but you wanted to mix up a couple of the ideas, then just give us a call, because as I say, everything can be customized to your liking. So hopefully you've seen today perhaps where you want to plan your next holiday tour. At least it's given you some inspiration and an idea of where to go to next. I mentioned our website just then, railbookers.co.uk. We really have just scratched the surface today of the holidays that we feature, and you can find them all on our website. Alternatively, you can give one of our expert team a call. They're ready and waiting to talk to you about any of these holidays. 0203 780 2222 to speak to one of our travel consultants. And as I mentioned, if you hadn't seen perhaps today exactly what you were after, we do have plenty more webinars coming up each week. So same time, same place. Next week is our most popular holidays via the Alps. As I mentioned at the start, Italy and Switzerland are our 2 most popular destinations right now. People looking for a bit of open space and some great scenery for next year. So that'll be a really popular webinar, I'm sure. The week after, we've got our top 5 luxury rail experiences for 2021. And after that, we're going to focus on Switzerland itself and 7 of the most scenic train routes in Switzerland. So the Glacier Express, the Bernina Express, the Golden Pass. So if Switzerland interests you, that would be a great one to join. Oh, and here we have our website again. So if you did miss it first time around, there it is again, railbookers.co.uk. That slide seemed to have slipped in there twice. So I do apologise. Okay, so that concludes the presentation today. Thank you ever so much for joining me. We do have a few minutes left to answer any questions that you might have. So if anyone does have any questions, please do pop it into the questions box there, and I'll try and answer them as best I can. See what we've got here. Someone said, I do not have a British passport, but I'm married to a British spouse. Would I need a visa to visit Scotland? No, you wouldn't. You'd be absolutely fine. Once you're into the UK, you can travel up to Scotland, no problem at all. That's from Marcel. So no, you wouldn't have an issue there, Marcel. Thanks for the question. I have a question from Keith here. How much is the okay? So deposits. Yeah, good question. We get asked this a lot. So the deposit on these holidays is £250 per person, and payment. Final payments due around 90 days prior to departure. That's Sean. Yep, Sean. Okay, thanks. So can I add stops en route? For instance, on the Inverness trip, can I stay in York? Yeah, absolutely. So if you was looking at our Highland trip, Sean, good question, and you wanted to add in perhaps York on, if you didn't want to do York and Edinburgh, but you wanted to do York and Inverness, in the Highlands, then absolutely we could either give you the Caledonian Sleeper up to Inverness to begin with. You could spend 4 days up there, and then you could travel back by day, and you could stop off in York on the way back. So absolutely, if you wanted to mix and match some of our holidays, some of the destinations, pair them up, that's absolutely fine. We can do that for you, no problem. Mary has asked, can you book train tickets only without the stopovers? I'm afraid we can't, Mary. No, we do have to do it as a package. It just, the minimum is 1 night, but it's just because of the relationship we have with the rail providers and the rates that we get. It does have to be part of what's called an FIT package, which means we can't just offer the rail tickets on their own. We do have to include the accommodation as well. You don't have to include accommodation everywhere. For instance, if you had somewhere that you'd already booked to stay in Edinburgh and Glasgow, but you needed us to take care of your accommodation up in Inverness for you, that would be absolutely fine. But we do need to include accommodation along the way somewhere, yes. Okay, we've got a long list of questions, so I do apologise if I didn't manage to get through to all of them. What I'll do is I can get some of our teams to get back to you on some of these questions, or please do give us a call. I do apologise, I haven't managed to get through to all of them, but I really do appreciate everybody's time on the webinar today. I hope you've enjoyed it. Thank you very much for joining me. Hopefully I'll see you again, or you might even catch me on the phone. Sometimes I pick up overflow calls, so you might get a hold of me if you call in. My name's Sam. Thanks again, and I wish you a pleasant afternoon, everybody. Take care of yourselves. Thank you.